Hi everybody, and welcome to video one of our free video series on goal setting. So let me ask you something. It's January, the month of resolutions, the month of hope, the month of this year will be different. Did you set goals this year? Or did you not set any because deep down you thought, why bother? I never follow through anyway. If you did set goals, how confident are you that you'll still be working on them in March? And if you didn't set goals, is it because somewhere along the way you learned that goal setting doesn't really work for you? So here's the truth. Most people don't want to face. Whether you set goals this year, but you have already started slipping, whether you set goals but quietly doubt you'll still be following them by March, or whether you avoided setting goals altogether. All three usually come from the same place. Past disappointment with yourself, disappointment that you didn't follow through, disappointment that you started strong and faded, disappointment that life got in the way again, disappointment that you promised yourself things you couldn't sustain. So now may still set goals, but without fully believing in your abilities to succeed, or you may avoid goals altogether to avoid the pain of failing once again. Different behaviors, same wound, a loss of trust in yourself, and that loss of self-trust is far more damaging than any missed goal. But don't beat yourself up, as you're not alone in this. Let me show you just how widespread this is. Only 3 in 10 Americans even make a New Year's resolution. Of those who do, 23% quit in the first week, 43% quit by the end of January, and only 9% keep their resolutions for the year, which means 91% never follow through. And among those who don't set resolutions at all, most say, I don't want to fail again, or I always forget, or I never stick to them. So let me say this clearly for you. If you have struggled with goals, you're not broken. You're not lazy. You don't lack willpower or capability, and you are definitely not weak. You're perfectly normal. The problem is that you are never taught how to set goals in a way that actually works with your psychology, your nervous system, your identity, and your real life. Now, here's the real question. What has it cost you to stop believing in your ability to follow through on your goals and change? Because when we stop trusting ourselves, we don't just abandon goals, we abandon dreams, possibilities, versions of ourselves we once imagined, lives we quietly hoped we might one day live, and slowly, without realizing it, we begin to design smaller and smaller lives. Not because we want less, but because we no longer believe we can have more. So today I want to introduce you to a completely different way of thinking about goals. Not as pressure, not as an obligation, not as something you should do, but as the most powerful tool you have to consciously design your future, your identity, your quality of life, your sense of purpose, your sense of self-respect. Goal setting is not a productivity tool. It's a life design tool. It's about who you are becoming. It's about what kind of life you are designing and building for yourself. It's about whether you are living deliberately or drifting through life accidentally. Every area of your life, your health, relationships, career, purpose, confidence, well-being is shaped by the goals you consciously or unconsciously pursue. And here's something most people have probably never told you. You are biologically wired to be a goal-striving being. In neuroscience, this is called the drive system. It's a core motivation system in your brain responsible for energy, engagement, hope, meaning, and forward movement. It is the system responsible for motivating us to seek out resources and information, find food, and get stuff done. It is a task-focused and productivity. It is task-focused and productivity-based and utilizes dopamine to activate our reward systems so we can stay motivated to keep moving forward towards achieving positive outcomes. So when you pursue meaningful goals, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good hormone, to activate your reward system, not for achievement, but for forward movement and progress. When you stop striving towards something meaningful, you don't become peaceful, you become restless, flat, unmotivated, disconnected, and even at its extreme, depressed. A life without goals doesn't feel calm. It feels empty and void, because at the deepest level, we are designed to pursue goals and grow. So this is why goal setting sits at the heart of psychology, all forms of therapy, neuroscience, coaching, leadership development, performance science, and behavior change science. And it's why the research shows people with clear goals experience higher life satisfaction. Goal clarity improves mental health. Goal direction improves motivation, resilience, and emotional regulation. Goal pursuit activates meaning, hope, and engagement. It's why the most successful people in business, sport, leadership, wellness, and personal development all speak about and have goals. Not because they're obsessed with achievement, but because they understand without direction, our potential decays. Their goals give our potential somewhere to go and grow, and with it, the life we can create for ourselves. So if goals are so powerful, why do people fail so often in setting and achieving them? Most people don't fail at goals because they are lazy or lack willpower. They fail because they were taught a system that doesn't work. They were taught just set a goal, write it down, stay motivated, and push hard. But psychology shows us motivation is emotional rhetoric and fleeting. Willpower is finite. Discipline is exhaustible. So what happens? You start strong, you feel inspired, you promise yourself, this time it's different, then life happens. Energy drops, stress rises, old habits return, and instead of questioning the system, you question yourself. You start to believe, I can't stick to things. I always quit. I'm not disciplined. And then the most damaging belief forms. Maybe this is just who I am. Maybe I'm someone who can't set and achieve goals. And that belief is devastating because it doesn't just affect goals, it affects your confidence, your identity, self-trust, courage to dream, willingness to try again. Your past goal-setting failures train you to stop trusting yourself and to stop believing you can change both yourself and your life. The result being you start designing an ever increasingly smaller life. But there is an even deeper reason goals fail. Most goals are set in isolation from your identity, your values, life vision, your purpose, emotional meaning, nervous system capacity, and habit and behavior architecture. We set goals for what we think we should want, not for the life we truly want to live. We chase weight loss without addressing self-worth or self-image. We chase success without defining fulfillment. We chase happiness without defining what a meaningful life even looks like for ourselves. So our goals are disconnected from our authentic self. And when goals are disconnected from the essence of who we are and lack meaning, they don't inspire us, they weigh on us, they become silent judges. Every day you don't follow through, they whisper, you're failing again. So pressure builds. Pressure creates resistance. Resistance creates avoidance. Avoidance creates guilt. Guilt creates shame, and shame kills desire, and with it, our motivation and momentum, so we stop. And this becomes a cycle that repeats throughout our life. Now, here's the part most people never hear. What if, instead of starting with goals, we started with your life? What if you designed who you want to become, how you want to live, how you want to feel, what kind of person you want to be, what kind of legacy you want to leave, and only then use goals as tools to build that life. This is strategic life design. It's not about doing more, it's about becoming more aligned. It's about living intentionally. It's about choosing your life instead of inheriting it. Because when your goals are connected to your identity, your values, your purpose, your future self, they don't feel like pressure. They feel like promises. They don't feel heavy. They feel personal. They don't feel forced. They feel right. So when your goals are aligned with who you're meant to become, you no longer chase them, you're pulled towards them because they're no longer tasks, they're expressions of who you are choosing to be. And they start to feel not only possible, but inevitable. But here's the truth most people never discover. Even aligned goals still fail without the right achievement system. Because insight alone does not change behavior. Desire alone does not change identity. And intention alone does not rewire habits or behavior. You need psychological structure, identity evolution, emotional regulation, habit and behavior architecture, self-trust rebuilding, and accountability design. Without this, even the right life vision and goals collapse. And this is not a theory for me. For more than 3 decades, I've lived on both sides of goal success and goal failure. I've built businesses and watched some of them grow and some collapse. I've experienced peak performance in sport and in periods of burnout. I've transformed my health and learned what happens when you neglect it. I've lived in different countries, different cultures, different seasons of life, and through all of it, I kept asking the same question. Why do some goals change my life while others quietly disappear? Over time, I realized something confronting. My biggest breakthroughs never came from wanting things more or doing more. They came from becoming someone different. Not just someone with better intentions, but someone with better systems, better structure, and better self-leadership. And once I saw that in my own life, I started seeing it everywhere else. I saw it in the wellness experts, psychologists, neuroscientists, coaches, and high performers who I was interviewing, part of my transformational summits, as well as the entrepreneurs, athletes, leaders, and creators I interviewed as part of my other initiatives. The same pattern kept repeating. The people who live extraordinary lives are not more motivated. They're more designed. They don't just set goals, they learn how to become the person who can live those goals and build the systems that make achievement inevitable. So now imagine this. Imagine waking up with clarity instead of confusion, with confidence instead of doubt, with direction instead of drift. Imagine trusting yourself again, not because life is perfect, but because you know you can handle it. Imagine knowing this is the life I'm building, this is the person I'm becoming, this is why my actions matter. Imagine feeling proud of your follow through, at peace with your direction, calm in your decisions, grounded in who you are, aligned with your purpose. Imagine no longer feeling like you're wasting potential or living on pause or watching time pass by while you stay exactly the same. Imagine living with alignment instead of inner conflict, with intention instead of reaction, with momentum instead of regret. This is what strategic life design and strategic goal setting and achievement creates. Not just success, but clarity, confidence, congruence, and feeling like you have control over the direction of your life. In the next video, part of this video series, I'm going to show you why mindset and identity matter more than motivation, why most people try to change their behavior without changing who they believe they are, and why that guarantees they fall back into the same patterns. You'll finally understand why you haven't been able to follow through, not because you're broken, lazy, or inconsistent, but because your identity has been working against your goals. And I'll show you how to begin changing that safely, realistically, and powerfully. And I'll show you why willpower has almost nothing to do with long-term success and what actually replaces it. So if you've ever wanted to become the kind of person who actually achieves what they set out to do, if you've ever wanted your goals to feel natural instead of forced, if you've ever wanted your life to finally reflect your potential and live the life you have envisaged for yourself, you'll not want to miss the next video, because this is where everything starts to shift. So I'll see you again in a few more days with video 2 of this video series.